Welcome back to The Factor. This story is something you wouldn't expect to hear in the United States. A politician accused of killing a journalist, a reporter. The now former politician, Robert Tellis, is accused of murdering investigative journalist Jeff Gearman. The death happened nearly 2 years ago. The trial officially started earlier today. That's why we're telling you about it. I talked with journalists Todd Smith and Bridget Holden about the dangers journalists now face in a world of political rhetoric. And joining us on The Factor Uncensored tonight, we have with us Bridget Holden, a PR specialist, and also Todd Smith with Regal Media, also a journalist. Glad to have you both here. A very disturbing case out of Las Vegas where a journalist was stabbed to death. The man accused and now going on trial this week is a former elected official. He's identified as Robert Tellis, who was a Clark County administrator. And it's our understanding that Jeff Gearman, the reporter who was killed, and he worked for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, he did a series of investigative reports on this elected official, and then he turns up dead. What kind of message, first of all, does this send to journalists out here?
To watch your six. I mean, that's a shame that you just can't do your job and report the news. You wind up dead. And now it's like, oh my gosh, can I do my job without my life being in danger? That's the message that it sends, you know, for me. That's a little scary.
The message for me is that it's un-American. I mean, you hear about journalists being attacked in other countries and government imprisoning people and killing people. But until recently, I never thought that my job, my words might put me in danger. But I'm very vocal on this show about political issues. I'm not necessarily covering politicians, but I'm aware that my words might offend somebody to the point where they might want to do something to me. So I've taken precautions, but you can never be too cautious. But at the same time, I think they're trying to instill fear. Like, politicians have never loved journalists,
right?
But you need to respect what we do. Our job is to report the truth and hold government officials accountable.
Exactly.
Our job is not to get you elected. Our job is not to be your friend. So let us do our job. It's very important to a democracy that we can hold our leaders accountable. But what I see happening is some of these elected officials trying to inflict fear. So if I can get them scared to do their job, it might benefit me. But so I'll tell all journalists, stay steadfast, but protect yourself, but still do your job because your country needs you.
And in recent years, Brigitte, we have seen an atmosphere where many politicians, and there's one in particular, you know, created the term fake news. And as a result of that, we have less trust of the American public, and almost they look at you with disdain. They look at you with disgust now as a result. And then there are those who may have mental issues. They may even go further.
Right.
With a journalist, if this journalist is not reporting on their favorite person or politician the way they want to hear it.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because, you know, to Todd's point, you know, our job is just to report the news and it's putting it out there, and we're unbiased. We're reporting the truth. We're reporting the facts. The public is supposed to make their opinion of what they think it is. We're not writing what is not true. We're not making up stuff. We're not doing fake news, as that politician has said and coined that phrase. It's, you know, we're just giving the facts to the public, and they're supposed to decide what is right or what is wrong for their own public opinion. And it's no different than them being online saying things about, you know, disparaging, you know, journalists or other people, and then they take it too far when they want to take it offline and then threaten your life and take it on the street. So it's dangerous out here in these streets.
Have either had an occurrence to face something that may put your life in jeopardy or at risk, or ugly comments on social media?
I've had threats to the point where I could consider that a death threat. It was leading up to the January 6th situation, and I'm a little too vocal. I'm more combative, but that's not the way to handle that. But Bree brought up a great point when she said we're not biased. But because of the former guy and other politicians, I don't think people know what bias actually means. I've had people tell me I was biased because I said there was not widespread fraud in the 2020 election. Hell, I ain't lying. I'm not telling you what you want to hear. but that doesn't make it biased. So I think people need to understand that just because somebody is saying something negative about somebody that you love doesn't necessarily make it untrue. I got a lot of flaws. Just because my family loves me, that doesn't mean if somebody points out my flaws, they bias against me. They tell them the truth, and that's our job. And our job, like I said, is not to get elected officials elected. It's to make, like Brazil said, it's to present the facts, and then people can make their own opinion, so they have an informed. They can be informed when they go to that ballot box. That's our job. So people need to understand. I don't think people are media literate. I don't think they know the difference between fake news and real news. They just, a politician said this, so, and he doesn't like this publication, so it must be true. People need to become more media literate, and then they can make, you wouldn't have this situation like happened in Las Vegas, in my opinion.
And I think people are confused by talk shows that may be on a news channel, and you hear, say, a Sean Hannity say something, but then you hear another anchor on a newscast say something, and those are two different things. An anchor on a newscast is different than an anchor on a talk show. And I think people get those two confused.
They do, because, and a lot of these people will say they're not journalists, but still people confuse them because they might mention some things that might be factual. Oh, they're telling the news. No, they're giving their opinion, and it's great. I love to hear different people's opinions, but I don't take it as gospel. Report the news.
Your point, Todd, you were talking about being media literate. It's not just being media literate. They need to also look at the facts of their politician or whoever it is that they're looking at. So when we're reporting the news and we're not being biased, we're unbiased, we're just reporting the facts, they need to look for themselves. You know, the Bible says, study thyself and show yourself approved. So do the same thing. And so you're not offended. We're just reporting the news. That's all I want to say.
All right, guys, we want to thank you for joining us here on The Factor Uncensored, and I'm very interested in how this case in Las Vegas will turn out. We'll keep you guys updated. Thank you for joining us tonight here on The Factor Uncensored. We appreciate your time.